Hi friends, welcome back to Tony Renee at Home. Hey, if you think that grape jelly is only good on a peanut butter sandwich or on a hot biscuit, you would be wrong. And I'm going to show you some other things that you can do with grape jelly at the end of this video, so be sure and stay tuned for that. However, I wanted to let you know about this great collaboration that's going on this month, and today is my day, so I'm doing grape jelly. This collab is called Jam It Up June. It was started and organized by Tony at Kettle's Kitchen, so go check out his channel and be sure to subscribe. And remember, there's a new video that comes out every day for the month of June. You also want to be sure to like and comment on these videos because there are some great giveaways that are going on. But let's get started with what I'm doing for my grape jelly. For this recipe, I am just using Sure Gel. You can get this at Walmart. If you've been in the canning section, I'm sure that you've seen it. And this is what you get. You get the package of pectin and you get the instructions. Let me set you up over here at the stove where we're going to be anyway, and I'm going to take you through some of these instructions and show you how easy this is going to be. So when you first open this up, it's this long sheet of instructions and recipes, and they are on both sides. So at the beginning, it gives you tips for successful jams and jellies. And then it gives you quick and easy freezer jam and jelly directions. Tells you your supplies needed. There's all of your instructions. Gives you all kinds of recipes, different fruits to use. And this is quick and easy freezer jam. This is quick and easy freezer jelly. And then it also gives you tips on what to do if your freezer jam or jelly doesn't set. And then if you turn it over to the other side, it gives you the cooked jam directions and a bunch of fruits that you can use to make cooked jam recipes, and the cooked jelly directions that we'll be following today, and the jellies that you can use. And again, what to do if your jam or your jelly doesn't set. So Sure Gel makes it super easy to follow these directions. So really, all I'm going to be doing is being your visual tutorial on how to follow these instructions. So we are making jelly. So this is the section that we want. We are making grape. So I'm going to go over here to the prepared juice because I am just using no sugar added grape juice. I need 5 cups of juice and 7 cups of sugar. And you're also going to need your package of pectin. It's already pre-measured. My water bath canner is here, and my jars are inside heating up, and that's probably already hot enough for those jars to be sterilized. You do want your jars to be sterilized for jelly. My lids are washed and clean. I've got my bands here. Now you will notice one thing, that it says a 2-piece lid. And I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that, but this is what it means. This is piece 1, this is piece 1, and this is piece 2. Your lid, your band. That makes this a 2-piece lid. So that's what it means. If you ever see that in a recipe, that's what that means. Okay. We've got our measured amount of juice in the stock pot, being 5 cups. And then, so the next thing it tells you to do is to proceed with step 2 of the cooked jam directions. So we're going to go up here, very plainly, cooked jam directions. And we're going to start with number 2. Measure exact amount of sugar into a separate bowl. That's what we've done here. And one thing it tells you to do, it gives you a tip right here. Do not reduce the sugar in the recipe, since that will result in set failures. So you need to be sure to follow these directions. And so the next thing it tells us to do is to add our pectin into our juice. And if you want, you can add a half a teaspoon of butter to this. It cuts down on the foaming when it starts boiling. Sometimes it can get a foam that is across the top of your jam or jelly. If you want to cut down on that, you can add half a teaspoon of butter. I'm not going to do that at this point. We are going to turn on the stove. I'm going to stir this pectin into this jelly. And we are going to bring this to a rolling boil, which means that even if you're stirring it or when you're stirring it, it does not stop boiling. So that's what we're going to, I have a fly flying around this, and this is going to have to be taken care of. Did you see the fly? We're going to bring this up to a rolling boil, and I will see you back here when we get to that point. I have a teaspoon of butter here. I have decided I'm going to go ahead and add that. I have found, again, just my opinion, but I have found, I don't think it helps all that much. I still end up getting foam. But we are up to a rolling boil, and now it is time to add our sugar. Just going to add it all at one time. You're going to stir it in, and then you're going to bring this back up to a rolling boil. Grape jelly is one of my favorites. What's your favorite jelly? Grape probably is my favorite. But then again, I like grape juice, grape soda, grape gum. I like grape. Okay, we're gonna let this come back up to a boil, and I'll see you then. Okay, we are back up to a full rolling boil. We are going to boil this, stirring constantly for 1 minute. I'm not going to set a timer. I'm just going to watch the clock on my stove, which says 11:08. And we will wait for it to turn to 11:09 because it just turned to 11:08. And I'm just going to stay here with you stirring this while we wait for that to happen. Now there is a chart on the bottom. I am below sea level, but if you are above sea level, there is a chart, another guide here on the very bottom of the page that gives you increased processing times if you are above sea level. I am below sea level, and so my process time for this is going to be 5 minutes. But I mean, literally, they tell you everything that you need to know to be successful with preserving. Okay, we're going to remove this from the heat, and I'm going to turn the camera around, and we're going to get this ladled into our jars. The first thing you want to do is skim off any foam with just a spoon. And I just put it in a little bowl. I don't really have a lot of foam. But this is the foam. I know you can't see into the pan, but I'm just going to skim what little bit of this there is. This is the foam that's in the pan. I remember my grandma making jelly, but she did it the very old-fashioned way, and I remember her melting the wax and putting the wax on top of the jelly in the jars. And I always thought, what keeps that hot wax from just soaking into all that jelly. I never understood that process. Of course, we don't do it that way now. Some people may still do it. It's not recommended safe, just so you know. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying that's not what I would do, because I'm too chicken. I do not tell anybody what to do or what not to do. That's not my style. Okay. There's a little bit left here around the rim. I remember one canning season. They even had shortages back then when I was little and Grandma was canning. Because I remember one year we lived in a little bitty town when I was little. And she couldn't find any wax. And she was freaking out. Okay. I'm going to get a couple of my jars. I'm just going to take out about 3 at a time. And we're going to start filling them up. You want a 1/4 inch head space. I'm going to guess right now, and then I'll measure later before I put my lids on. This recipe says it makes 8 cups. I always do 1 extra than what the recipe calls for, just to be on the safe side. There's a little bit of foam in there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I can only remember one time that I've never had a recipe that I was making jam or jelly set, and it was with strawberry jam, so I really didn't care. We just used it as syrup. Okay, I'm going to grab a couple more jars. You know, I always said I'd do an extra jar just in case. It's a good thing I did. I'm going to try to move this. These jars are very hot. If you try to move them, I suggest picking them up as close to the rim as possible. A 1/4 inch is not much, but I'm teaching you, so let's grab our handy dandy debubbler. And of course, the last step is a 1/4 inch. And that one could definitely use more, I can tell just by looking at it. That one needed a little bit more. You're going to feel like you have these too full, but you don't. And especially if you get down to eye level, it looks like every one of mine need just a little bit more. So let's check this one. Yeah. And it's already trying to set up. We don't need much, just a smidge. We have used every bit of this. See how it's already wanting to set up? And we have not walked away from this. Okay, now I'm going to turn my burner back up to high under my canner. This is a liquid, so you really don't need to debubble. You can, you're not going to hurt anything. This one's really messy. Let me get the lid on this one because that one's really messy. We just want to be sure that we get everything off of these rims so that we don't hinder the seal. Okay. Because this collab is sponsored by 4 Jars, I was going to use my 4 jar lids because I do have some, and then I remembered I only have wide mouth and these are regular. This is about the only time I ever use regular lids, is for these little half pints. I'm going to clean that one up last. Who knows what kind of mess that's going to, how many paper towels I'm going to need to clean that up. But I'm going to get the rest of these cleaned off and in the canner. I have my jars in my canner. You will see 2 pint jars in there in the middle. Those are in there for nothing more than to prop up my little jars and keep them from falling over, because this is the smallest water bath canner that I have. These are half pints. There are only 9, and it left a lot of room there in the middle, and I did not want them to fall over. So I just put water in those jars. Those are not new. You might be able to see there's some writing on them because those have already been used. I keep those for making salad dressings and stuff like that, and they're great for when you vacuum seal jars. I do not use them for canning. I'm not going through all that mess just to have them not seal because I tried to reuse a lid. So anyway, the jars are covered. They need to be covered by 1 to 2 inches of water, and it is on high. I'm going to put the lid on it, and we are just going to wait for this to come up to boil, and then we will time 5 minutes. I can tell you already, we're not going to have a problem with setting. This is still a tiny bit warm, maybe room temperature, and it's already set. And it is so good. I love grape jelly. Okay. While we wait for our canner to come up to boil so we can process that jelly, let's talk about some things. If you're new, let's talk about some things that might throw you off from these directions. The first thing is probably the two, what did it call it? The two-piece lid. That's what I'm trying to think of. Being the lid itself and the ring. So don't let that throw you off. It just means the actual lid and the ring or the band. We went over all of that, what to call these and what to call everything else in my canning video, and I will link that below, and I might link it up in the card as well. So that would be the first thing that might throw you off, that two-piece lid. That just means the lid itself and the ring or the band. The other thing is, when you look at the cooked jam and jelly recipes on the back, it talks about using the actual fruit. And if you have the actual fruit and that's what you want to use, that's fine. But if you look in the jam directions, it also says that you can use prepared juice. So don't let that throw you off. I just used unsweetened or no added sugars grape jelly, or grape juice. So you can use that. So don't let that throw you off. Another thing that might throw you off, and I actually did it in the video, but you're cooking jelly, you're making jelly, and then it tells you to go to the jam directions. Don't let that confuse you. Don't let that throw you off. It just means the process for the jams and the jellies is the exact same way. So when you're reading down here and doing your jelly, it's going to bring you back up here and you're going to begin with number 2, starting with those directions for cooking the jam, because they're the same whether the process is the same for whether you're doing jam or jelly. So don't let that throw you off. I can't think of anything else that would throw you off, seriously. This is pretty straightforward. They're pretty thorough and easy to understand. So Sure-Jell does call for a lot of sugar, but I did not think, because I used unsweetened juice, no sugars added juice, I didn't really think that was overly sweet. It is less sweet than any jelly that you buy at the store. Okay, we are going to wait for this to come up to a boil, and then we're going to process it, and I'll be back. Okay, we are boiling. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. Now, I kind of skipped over something when I was saying that there was 1 to 2 inches of water over the tops of my jars. If you end up not having that much water over your jars, you need to be sure that you add boiling water. So always have a pot of boiling water just in case you might need it. If you don't need it, you pour the water out or use it to water your garden, and you dry your pot and put it away. So always have a pot of boiling water on the side just to be sure you have enough water over your jars. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to take the lid off. Remember to always lift it away from you. You don't want that steam hitting you in the face. That could be painful. Now, do we just take these jars right out of the canner? If you've watched my canning video how to, you know that the answer to that is no. You would shock these jars if you bring them right out into your cool environment, and they could crack or break on you, and you don't want to waste all of your yummy jelly. So I'm going to reset the timer. Steaming you up for another 5 minutes, and we're going to let these set here for 5 minutes with the lid off, and then we will take them out of the canner. Hey, you know that foam that I skimmed off the top of that jelly? There's nothing wrong with that. Peanut butter and jelly, my second favorite sandwich. Can you guess my first? You know what? I need to do a giveaway. Sorry for talking about food in my mouth. I need to do a giveaway for reaching 1,000 subscribers. If you're watching this video, be thinking about it. I think that might be the question I ask. Who will be the first one to guess my favorite sandwich? So if you're watching this video, I keep eating before I talk. I can't stand people that do that. So if you're watching this video, don't comment on this one, because it won't do you any good. But you have a leg up on knowing what the question is going to be. So I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong either. Jelly, peanut butter, yummy. I don't know yet what I'm going to do for the giveaway either. I have a couple of ideas, but I'm not sure. But don't throw away that foam. Make you a sandwich or something. I'm just a country girl. Grape jelly is still my favorite. While we're waiting for those jars to sit there in the canner with the lid off for this last 5 minutes, let's talk about some of the other things that you can do with grape jelly besides peanut butter and jelly or a hot buttered biscuit. So if you've never done these things before, it might sound really weird to you to use grape jelly this way, but meatballs. Grape jelly mixed with chili sauce or barbecue sauce. You can add pineapple, you can add bacon. Those are so good. Also, using the chili sauce and grape jelly with the little cocktail wieners, so good. Both great appetizers. Use the meatballs with rice in your meal. Make it a meal. So good. And if your kids really love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, try this. Make your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Use thick sliced bread, something like the artisanal bread. Use thick sliced bread. Make your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but then dip it in an egg and milk mixture like you would for French toast, and then fix that like you would French toast. Fry it up in a skillet or on a griddle like you would French toast. Drizzle some powdered sugar on it. You will take their peanut butter and jelly sandwich to the next level, and they will love you for it. I don't have a picture for that one. That one was just my idea. I just thought it would be a fun thing to do for my grandkids. Although my youngest grandson doesn't even like peanut butter and jelly. I don't even know what to think about that. Okay. Helps if I push the right button. Lifting them straight up out of the water. Do not tip. That'll dry off. You can dry it off later. Do not set them straight on your counter. Again, that change in temperature could cause them to break. So I always use a couple of layers of towels. I'll show you here in a sec. Just going to finish taking these out. Do not set them really close together. I usually have mine at least an inch away from its neighbor. Okay, there's our jelly. There is nothing more beautiful to me than seeing jars that I have preserved sitting on my counter and sitting in my pantry. And that ping is every canner's joy. And there went the last jar. Okay, friends, I hope that I have taken any questions out of canning jams and jellies that you might have. If you have anything further that you need to ask, you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll get to them, I promise, as soon as I can. And don't forget, go watch all of the other videos that are in this collaboration. I'm day 21, so there are 20 other videos before me that you need to catch up on if you haven't already started. The playlist is in my description. Everyone's link to their specific channel is in my description. And I will see you on Saturday with a new video. In the meantime, go watch my canning video. If you're new to canning, if you have a lot of questions, if you've never done this before, I'll link my canning video either up in a card or down in the description. And until the next time, God bless.